Job 29. Then Job continued his speech. Oh, that I could be as I was in the months now gone, in the days when God watched over me, when he caused his lamp to shine upon my head, and by his light walk through darkness. Just as I was in my most productive time, when God's intimate friendship was experienced in my tent, when the Almighty was still with me, and my children were around me, when my steps were bathed with butter, and the rock poured out for me streams of olive oil, when I went out to the city gate and secured my seat in the public square, the young men would see me and step aside. The old men would get up and remain standing. The chief men refrained from talking and covered their mouths with their hands. The voices of the nobles fell silent, and their tongues stuck to the roofs of their mouths. As soon as the ear heard these things, it blessed me, and when the eye saw them, it bore witness to me. For I rescued the poor who cried for help, and the orphan who had no one to assist him. The blessing of the dying man descended on me, and I made the widow's heart rejoice. I put on righteousness, and it clothed me. My just dealing was like a robe and a turban. I was eyes for the blind and feet for the lame. I was a father to the needy, and I investigated the case of the person I did not know. I broke the fangs of the wicked and made him drop his prey from his teeth. Then I thought, I will die in my own home. My days are numerous as the grains of sand. My roots reach the water, and the dew lies on my branches all night long. My glory will always be fresh in me, and my bow ever new in my hand. People listened to me and waited silently. They kept silent for my advice. After I had spoken, they did not respond. My words fell on them, drop by drop. They waited for me as people wait for the rain, and they opened their mouths as for the spring rains. If, bum, 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 if. I smiled at them. They hardly believed it, and they did not cause the light of my face to darken. I chose the way for them and sat as their chief. I lived like a king among his troops. I was like one who comforts mourner. So Job continues. His argument in the past chapter was about wisdom and understanding, about how valuable it is, about how it's more valuable than anything else, and how hard it is to find, and the only place to find it is in God. And he's going to make the case he has been in right relationship with God to have said wisdom. Now he's going to recall what his life was like prior to the situation he is now in. That I could be as I was in the months now gone, in the days when God watched over me, when he caused his lamp to shine on my head, and by his light I walk through darkness. So if only I could go back to what it was when God was protecting me from the calamity that's come upon me. Then I walked around in the light. I was not stumbling in darkness, just as I was in my most productive time when God's intimate friendship was experienced in my tent. So in my youth, or my most productive, whatever, my days gone by, if only I could go back then, when I was super productive, I was really blessed in everything that I did. When the Almighty was still with me, and my children were around me. So God was with me, and so were my children. When my footsteps were bathed with butter. Like, I mean, if that's not an expression, well, here it says curds. Like, smooth sailing. It was smooth sailing. My life was smooth sailing. I mean, we have on the bathe there. The Hebrew to wash, to bathe. Okay, so my steps, in the washing of my steps in butter. Yeah, like making it smooth, but you don't want to slip. So I think the curds going in that direction is going to be more of an abundance of something than butter is an abundance of something. But anyway, the rock poured out for me streams of olive oil. So, like, it's like abundance all around me. Everything I have, full of abundance. I have everything that it's needed. When I went out to the city gate and secured my seat in the public square, the young men would see me and step aside. The old men would get up and remain standing. So, unlike the way we do things today, the ancient way would be for the teacher to be seated and the crowd who is listening to be standing. We do this the opposite. We have the preacher up front standing. We have the congregation seated. I wonder what it would be like to flip that around, to have everybody who is listening standing while you're seated. That seems really weird to me, but that was the way they did it. So the young men step aside when he's walking along. They give him honor. They give him the place of honor. The old men stand up in reverence and honor. The chief men refrain from talking and cover their mouths with their hands. So they're going to stop. When I come in, they stop talking. I was more important than whatever they were talking about. You won't be able to see the speaker. Well, when Jesus is doing it, it's on the mountainside. So he's either up on top of the mountain and they're down below, so you look up the mountain. And the other would be if he was in the boat and they were on the mountain off of the shore. So yeah, you like the idea, Gaiman? It means that they actually willing to stand uncomfortably because what's heard is considered worth. Yeah, I think there's a level of that. Not all traditions do this, but some in the reading of the text stand. They might stand for the Bible reading. Some will just stand for the gospel reading. There's a level of that still that happens sometimes in some churches where you stand in honor of what is being said. Seems like church may have forgotten the worth of God's word. I don't know if it's that, but also it's all of society. Like we don't go, like, think of our teaching. Like you don't stand, or it's like all of our teaching is the same way. So it's not a matter of not valuing the worth of it from our position of that. I think there's truth in what you're saying. They thought it was worth it to stand can be true. Our sitting doesn't mean that we don't think it's of worth. So it's the system we've inherited, and we're not thinking about one way or the other. So the voices of the nobles fell silent. Their tongues stuck to the roof of their mouth. As soon as their ears heard the things, it blessed me. And when the eye saw them, it bore witness to me. So we have everyone was silent in the past. Is this nostalgia or what? So not only does he go first with the nostalgia of life was good, but not only was life good, there weren't people running their mouths at me for no reason with no wisdom. In the past, like people shut up when I spoke and they listened to me. That it was still that way, my friend. Oh, that it was still that way. And then, and when the eye saw them, it bore witness to me. So the ear heard things, it blessed me. The eye saw things, it bore witness to me. So everyone saw and heard about what I had done. What had I done? I had rescued the poor who cried out for help, and the orphan who had no one to assist them. The blessing of the dying man descended on me, and I made the widow's heart rejoice. So he is saying all of the things that he did. And if you remember, his friends accused him of abusing the poor, of taking advantage of the orphan, of not caring for the widow. So they accused him already of these things. Now he's saying, oh, in the days of yore, when I used to do these things and everybody knew it, I put on righteousness and it clothed me. Like I walked around putting on righteousness. My just dealing was like a robe and a turban. Like everyone could see I put on justice and I put it right on. I was eyes for the blind and feet for the lame. So whatever they needed, I assisted them. I was a father to the needy, and I investigated the case of the person. I did not know. So when something went wrong, they brought it to me. I investigated the case. I dispensed justice for people who pled their case. I broke the fangs of the wicked and made him drop his prey from his teeth. So they were taking advantage of these people. I gave them justice. I stopped the wicked from what they were doing. Then I thought, I will die in my own home. My days are numerous as the grains of the sand. My roots reach the water, and the dew lies on my branches all night long. My glory will always be fresh in me, and my bow ever new in my hand. So back then, I thought I had it made. I thought this is the way life is always going to be. I've got to have everything in abundance. I'm going to die in my home. This is going to, I'm not going to be, I'm at peace with everybody, I guess is the way I wanted to go with that. People listened to me and waited silently. They kept silent for my advice. Unlike you guys. After I had spoken, they did not respond. Unlike you guys. My words fell on them drop by drop. You aren't listening to anything I say. They wait for me as people wait for the rain, and they open their mouths as for the spring rain. So they are wanting to consume what I have to say. You guys not listening to a single thing that I've said this entire time. If I smile at them, they hardly believe it, and they did not cause the light of my face to darken, unlike you guys who are darkening my face with your untrue accusations and false wisdom. So they would be amazed when I would smile at them. They wouldn't believe it. Oh my goodness, he smiled at me. And they would lighten up my face as well. I chose the way for them and sat as their chief. I lived like a king among my troops. I was one who comforts mourners. I was there for people to comfort them in their distress. Why aren't you all here comforting me? You are not comforters, you guys.